And welcome to the Midday Show. I am Jeff Everett. He is Mark Messina. And we're here. Listen, it was a little bit of a flustering Tuesday. We had a meeting. We had some other stuff going on. So we're a little late. We apologize. But before we get to, we got snow plows that need workers. We also have teachers that are being recognized. Then we got some real world stuff, remembering Pearl Harbor. The Maxwell trial continues. We're going to talk a little college football, all that good stuff. Before we get to all of it, how are you feeling today?
Hungry. Because these people come in and these loving coworkers, we have this meeting.
You go, these people.
Cram it right through lunch. I'm here, ready to drop over. And I was like, hey, as soon as you guys shut up and get out, now I don't have time to eat. Now we have to do the midday show, and we're already behind schedule. So it's going to be even further behind schedule. And by the time we're done, I'm going to be starved.
My favorite part about that was these people. Like, you're not a part of these people.
These people just showed up in our office and started talking. What could I do?
They keep referring to it as your office. Have you noticed this at all?
But you notice I said our office. These people showed up in our office. You can rewind that and see it.
All right.
Now, our office is big, and we can have a meeting with enough people in it.
Yeah.
But they ruined my lunch.
All right. Well,
they didn't ruin it. They delayed it, and I'm suffering.
Listen, we're going to have a lot of small talk on the show. Before we get to that, let's talk about the snow. It's coming, apparently. Are you ready for, real winter? See, you haven't even wrapped your head around that.
No, I hadn't even. That's the first time I'd actually thought about it, in all fairness. Because I saw on the news and what happened in Buffalo last night with the snow. And there wasn't really that much snow on TV, but it was blustery. And you've seen on the national weather forecast that it's coming.
Yeah.
And when I first saw it, I was like, well, that one's missing us, so we're okay. I don't know. Like everyone else, this is what I've come to in life. There is, as we talked about the simple winter pleasures, freshly fallen snow is a beautiful thing.
Okay.
And it is a simple winter pleasure. That first night when you get 6 to 8 inches to a foot, and it is pretty. Once the snow stops, and now you start dealing with it the next morning. Correct. And it's only pretty at night. Like during the day, it kind of gets into it. But when you deal with it during the day, and then it gets driven over and it gets mucky and it starts to melt, then it is just a pain until it's gone.
Okay. So Penn Live is reporting snow predicted this week. However, what they're actually reporting, PennDOT will be able to clear the roads with limited staff. So I saw that headline. I thought that was interesting. I clicked on it. It turns out that as of right now in the state of Pennsylvania, only 40% of the 695 temporary operator positions are filled. So what that means is 60% of the normal staff that they have to clear the roads in Pennsylvania are not currently filled. It is December 7th. To me, those are some red flags.
40% of 700 is roughly 280.
Okay.
So they have 280 plowers.
Okay.
And these are seasonal guys. They're not like they hire
temporary drivers.
They hire temporary seasonal guys.
Typically
so
just
they have
under
280. 700. And this is PennDOT. So this is the whole state.
Correct.
This is not like our little neck of the woods. This is our big neck of the woods.
Yes. So we're talking, and you kind of brought this up too. You're talking your major road systems, right? You're talking your highways, your turnpikes.
Well, yeah, what we discussed beforehand when you brought this up was I said, at least society's learned to work from home, and society will handle this much better than it would have handled it 3 years ago. And you said, well, we still need food and milk and all that other stuff. And I said, when you think of where grocery stores are and where drugstores are, they are not off the beaten path. So the main thoroughfares, the highways and to get on and off is going to be taken care of. The last things taken care of are going to be the side streets in the neighborhoods, and people will have trouble getting in and out.
I don't even know how much PennDOT really has. Personally, I haven't seen. Usually, those are your local providers.
That's fair too.
That's not your PennDOT drivers. I guess what I'm saying is, if they in a typical year, 700 temporary drivers to make sure that your major road systems are working, essentially, when it snows, and you have 40% of that. I just don't, Mathematically, it doesn't make a lot of, this isn't like you're missing 25%. It's 60% of your workforce to keep these roadways clear.
Yeah, that's a good
point. They're
point.
not there anymore. So to your point, I agree with you. From a interpersonal thing, you probably won't be very affected. The average person probably won't be very affected by it. I think what could be affected by it are the already slowed down supply chain deliverables. I think those are the things where when you start thinking about this, because that's what's really going to be affected. We can work remotely. We've already the last 2 years kind of figured out how to navigate this world without being on the highways. What has not figured it out is those providing suppliers, right? The people that are actually bringing goods and services to you.
So we'll work remotely, we'll shop more remotely, and we'll clog up the supply chain even more.
Yeah, I mean, now who knows? Maybe the weather breaks right. Maybe it's not a bad winter. I mean, our winter last year was pretty rough. That was one of the rougher winters we've had in a while.
No, see, I don't even remember.
I know we talked about this the other day too. You didn't remember the first big snowfall we had.
I don't remember a whole lot.
You looked at me sideways when I talked about us getting like almost 18 inches at the beginning. I think it was the beginning of last December.
This is what happened last year in my life, to be totally honest.
We're talking about PennDOT and snow.
But last winter, this is what, because of, I wasn't coaching.
Correct.
And my son was playing junior high basketball. None of my daughters were in any extracurriculars in the winter.
Right.
And he was contact trace quarantined 4 different times.
Right.
He never got COVID, but because he sat by the wrong kid in class, or he rode with me in the car once while I was waiting for a test result.
Okay.
Things like that. So he only played 4 basketball games all winter. So most of my winter was sat home. And we, as a normal schmuck, you couldn't go to a wrestling match or a basketball game because they wouldn't let you in. So there was no place to go last winter.
Well, you really don't remember last winter because it was all shut down.
Well, December was.
Correct.
But then it opened up again.
Well,
but even in January, once they started playing, you couldn't go unless you were a parent.
See, to me, out of this whole pandemic, last December was the most unnormal I had felt because the schools were shut down. Almost everything was shut down for that month of December. Holidays, people got together, but it was kind of, you didn't really know if you were doing the right thing or not. And that whole month of December is very vivid to me. And you're saying it almost had the opposite effect on you. To you, it
barely happened.
It barely happened.
I want to mention this as I got this on today. What did happen? And we talked about this yesterday. I forgot to mention it, so I dressed accordingly. My daughter has been on campus at Pitt for 1 semester.
Yep.
Pitt has won its first ACC championship in any sport the first semester she's there. Is that a coincidence?
Yes, it is. We've talked about this, but that's exactly what it is a coincidence.
I just need to give a shout out because I've been a Pitt Panther fan now for a year since I've been paying tuition there.
When you look up the defension of coincidence, it actually says when my daughter went to school.
I do say she hasn't been to a football game yet. I used to tell I'd text her, be like, hey, you guys won again. She'd be like, hey, who did we play? Yeah. So she's not an avid sports fan. I will say that.
Yeah.
But congratulations to Pitt.
Yeah.
And they got the Heisman Final Four. They got one of them.
Yes. Nice.
So there you go. I want to mention that. And also, we do need to talk about, are we done with the snowplow story?
But continue.
I want to go to, today is Pearl Harbor Day.
Okay.
And I did
do you want me to finish the PennDOT story?
Oh, I thought it was finished. Do you have more?
We can be done. I mean, you clearly aren't that interested in it. So
well, what else is there? We don't have enough drivers.
We don't have enough drivers. That's essentially what it comes down to. We're one of 6 states facing a major drop in drivers. So that's, to me, I find that a little interesting.
It's only an issue if we get a lot of snow.
It's only an issue if we get a lot of snow. The other part, though, like there are other states. There's no way there's only 6 states getting heavy snowfall. So 6 other states have somehow avoided this shortage. So I would be curious what they did that the state of Pennsylvania is not doing.
Fair question.
I think it's a fair question.
And it would also be interesting to see where regionalized, because I'm sure some regions are better than others. It can't be balanced. It can't be 60% shortage everywhere. Some places there may be a 20% shortage. Some places there may be a 90% shortage.
Yes, I agree with that. So so they have strategies. Would you like to hear some strategies?
Sure.
So one of the strategies, they're going to try to lay down salt more so than what they did
I just thought you were going to say lay down the law.
Lay down the law.
I was like, what does that mean?
It is. Stay home. What they're going to do, they're going to try to actually lay down salt.
They're going to pre-salt.
They're going to pre-salt the salt. So before they would salt the roads, now they're going to pre-salt before they salt for the bad weather. Some are saying this isn't going to work because of like typically before it snows, it rains, especially early in the season and late in the season.
So the salt's going to wash away.
So the salt's going to wash away. So they're saying that that's not really a solution. One of the other things they're saying is that snowfall is not consistent throughout the state. So typically if there's snow up north, it does not mean that they're getting snow down south and vice versa. So they can track the storms and decide where they're going to deploy the majority of this 40% of the workforce. So
it's going to be like the National Guard.
Kind of moving around the state as the storm comes.
And now another question is, what does that do environmentally to add more salt that then just gets washed away? And
it's a good question. I'm sure I would like to think, I'm going to give PennDOT benefit of the doubt. I'm going to give their permanent employees benefit of the doubt. I would like to think that they are aware of that. I would like to think that they are going to be able to know if we salt now, it'll get washed away. I'd like to think there are some smarter people than myself and you kind of making these decisions, hopefully.
Are there any smarter people than you and I? Anywhere?
I think so.
NASA?
I would like to hope so.
Harvard?
No, you don't think so?
I don't know. We're up there. Upper echelon.
So those are the two main strategies they're looking to basically apply right now if they are unable to hire more workers. Kind of a moving around system of employees depending on where they think it's going to snow, and then basically more salt than they've ever done before.
Okay.
How do you feel about that?
I'm good. I'm ready to move on.
Okay, go ahead.
Because I want to talk about how smart I am now that I just talked about how smart I am.
Sounds good.
Tomorrow, since today's December 7th, and we'll get back to that in a minute. Tomorrow's December 8th, which is my brother's birthday.
Okay.
Because my brother's family, so I have a brother, a sister-in-law, and two nephews and a niece. So there's 5 people in the family.
Okay.
4 of these yucca-pucks are born within a month of Christmas.
Okay.
And as you know, shopping for anyone whose birthday is around Christmas makes it doubly hard.
Okay.
So what I have gotten good at in my life is buying Christmas and birthday presents all year round.
Okay.
Because I know it just takes pressure off when it comes.
Okay.
What I've not gotten good at is remembering where I stashed all these presents. And I have a birthday present for my brother for tomorrow. Okay. I can't find it. I can't be the only person who deals with this.
This is such a Mark problem.
I know, that's why I'm saying this. I know you're laughing. There are other people who are in this boat. I don't know where it is, but I remember because I opened the package and I was like, yep, that's what it is. And I need to stash this for Mike. And I don't know where I put it.
This is why we're such the odd couple, because anybody in my life will tell you, friends and family, I'm just not great at getting gifts. I think I'm good at like showing up, making an effort to go places, see people, do things. I don't think I'm great at like actually purchasing gifts and like giving them. Like I just don't purchase them. I'm just not good at it. I never have been.
Well, right now there would be no difference because when there's no gift, there's no proof that I purchased it until February when I'm like, here, I told you I had it all along.
Maybe that's what I could tell people that I lost their gift. I bought it. I was so prepared and I was so ready. I hid it somewhere and I can't find it. Is that what you're implying?
But see, here's the thing, and this is what intelligent people will say, why don't you have like a drawer or a certain closet or a certain, but then like, I don't want people to come across the mother lode and be like, oh, and then they start looking for their own gifts. And when it's just like, it comes in a package, it comes in the mail. I got it offline or whatever.
Why don't you just keep them on your desk?
I ripped it because it gets mailed home. So I rip it open. I see what it is. Oh, yes. And it showed up in July. Okay, this is for Mike for his birthday, which is in December. So there's no urgency to any of this. So it gets tossed somewhere. And where it got tossed, now I don't know.
This is such a you problem.
This is the thing. It is a me problem. it can't only be me. There are other people who suffer from this affliction.
Absolutely. But I would argue your affliction is it's not a disorganization or hiding it. Your issue is you are like a instinctive gift buyer. So you don't buy the gift because so-and-so's a month away. You see it and you're like, that would make a great gift, and you just buy it. And some of this stuff is 9 months away.
Yes.
You buy gifts where it's like, it could be someone's birthday yesterday, and 3 days later, you'll see something. You'll be like, oh, that's the perfect gift for them, and you'll buy it.
Yes.
That's a problem.
Why?
Because now you've forced yourself into a logistical supply chain of like, I have all these gifts, but I got to store them somewhere. And so you've almost made it so now you need a system.
Let me clarify this. It's only a problem if I lose it or I can't find it.
Yeah.
But it is, there's only so many places, and that's the thing. It's like when you can't find your wallet. There's only so many places the wallet can go. And then when you look at all those places, then you're like, wow, where did I put it?
Yeah, but you need a wallet. That's the difference. You don't need to buy somebody a gift 9 months before.
But you need to buy them a gift sooner or later.
I don't disagree with that.
I am a good gift buyer, and I will buy them whenever. And it's a crunch time. I have 24 hours. Now, the other aspect is we're adults, and there's a very good chance, since his birthday is on a Wednesday, that I'm not going to see Mike on his birthday. So I do have a couple more days that I can drag it out. But hopefully I'm going to run into him sooner or later. And when it's like, dude, I got you something, I don't know where it is, then it's almost which bullet do you want to take? Do you want to take the I didn't care enough to buy you a present bullet, or I cared enough, but I'm too stupid to know what I did with it? So, either one is not very flattering to oneself, but that's what I'm staring at unless I can find it.
That makes sense. Let's talk about some teachers really quick. The Pennsylvania Teacher of the Year Award was handed out. There were 4 local nominees in our coverage area. However, unfortunately, none of them were the Grand Poobah. None of them were the Teacher of the Year. However, they were finalists, and I thought it would be nice to mention them because teaching is hard.
Mention these, and I think I have a cool story that you don't even know that we have. Go ahead, mention them.
So one of the finalists was Gerald Kaplan. He teaches visual arts grades 9 through 12 at Loyalsock Township.
Okay.
We also have Andrea Bainey, 4th grade math and science teacher at Liberty Valley Intermediate School. That would be the, pretty sure that's Danville Area School District.
Say that again?
It's called Liberty Valley Intermediate, but I'm pretty sure it's Danville School District.
I coached her in high school basketball.
There you go. Nice. Good stuff. See what an influence you had on her.
See, and I knew this because I saw it on her Facebook page because we're Facebook friends.
Okay.
So I that's the only reason I knew she was nominated because of that. So
the
Montoursville grad. Just
the nomination letter that was written for, in quotes, creating a classroom that is safe, encourages curiosity, and promotes passionate and reflective learners is a main goal for Mrs. Bainey each school year. So that was because you have to write in and nominate them, whether it's like a parent or a student.
She's a really good kid, good shooter.
Yeah. Deborah Barrick, K through 12 librarian in Selinsgrove Elementary School. That's Selinsgrove Area School District, obviously. And then a Jessica, and I want to say Felon, Fellin.
Sounds like it.
Felon. High school biology, Penns Valley Area Junior Senior High School, Penns Valley Area School District. So congratulations to the 4 nominees. It's pretty impressive.
Yes.
Entire state of Pennsylvania.
I don't know if I had a positive influence on Andrea. But I think she would say, like we got along because we're Facebook friends.
Is that all it takes?
Usually, if you hated the coach, you wouldn't be a Facebook friend.
Okay. Pearl Harbor. Today is
December 7th, the day that will live in infamy.
That's right.
I have been to Pearl Harbor.
You said it was cool.
It was, the historical. I guess there's nothing cool there. It's a unique place.
Oh, can we talk about that for a second? Aren't we far enough removed from it to say going to the site was like a cool experience or a neat experience? No? Or am I being...
I don't know. I don't know if there's anything to put a positive spin on it. It was unique.
Really?
And,
So,
and
I'm being insensitive by saying that.
probably, but that's you. You're insensitive. That's your vibe.
Okay. I just thought after so many years, like going to see something like that is a neat experience. It's a cool experience.
I was thinking about it this morning when I woke up and realized that, today was the 7th. There are places in life that if you've ever been to Niagara Falls, it's just like the
Sure.
enormity of it. And I've never been to the Rocky Mountains, which I can just imagine. I've never been to Redwood National Park, which I want to see. But it's just those things, you can see the sheer enormity of it.
Sure.
One of the coolest places I've ever been is the headwaters of the Mississippi River, which is just it's like a lake. It's like Rose Valley Lake, or it's like, Lake Jean or whatever. And this, when the Mississippi starts, you can almost broad jump it. It's just crazy. And then it's just kind of knowing what it meant. Like Pearl Harbor is just a harbor. There's nothing Niagara Falls-ish about Pearl Harbor, but like knowing what went on, there is a quietness. It's like when you walk into a funeral and you're just supposed to be quiet.
Sure.
There's an eerie quietness to Pearl Harbor, like it is a living perpetual funeral.
Okay.
And it is one of the most unique places I've ever been. And you can still see, it's the Arizona, isn't it?
Yes, the USS Arizona.
You can still see the Arizona, and it is, if you ever are in Hawaii, you need to go to Pearl Harbor. Just that is the one thing I remember, the quiet of it more than anything else.
Were there a lot of people when you went?
There were tourists there.
Okay.
And what's also crazy about it is there's such a, because of where Hawaii is, you don't realize how far Hawaii is off the coast unless you look at a map.
Sure.
It's not like Cuba off of Florida. It is hours into the ocean. So Hawaii is a vacation destination for Japan. Mm. So when you are at Pearl Harbor, which was Americans attacked by the Japanese, the tourists that are coming to see this historical site, there are many Japanese that are there too, which makes it odd.
Yeah.
And but anyway, if you ever get a chance to go to Pearl Harbor, it's worthwhile. You need to go.
Nice. Interesting. Anything else for us today? I know we got a late start today. You wanted to talk about something you saw in the media that bothered you. Do you want to talk about today?
I mean, this doesn't really have any. I mean, we can, because we don't need to be that quick. We're only 20 minutes in, but we a lot of times we discuss things of the media that are unfair. Sure. And how the media kind of skews things to get eyeballs or to get clicks or whatever. And we also think that the media takes an unfair, like the right, everything that CNN says is not false, even though the right would have you believe it. Everything that Fox News says is not false, even though the left would have you believe it.
Sure.
I know they have their business angles and they certainly lean,
sure,
but it doesn't make everything they say full of crap. But anyway, there was a thing, and I can't remember the guys. I wanted to save the article and I accidentally closed it. But a worldwide, a nationwide religious, a Christian radio host or something like this. Another one of them has passed away due to COVID.
Okay.
He was very anti-vax, and he's not the first of the very anti-vax broadcasters to die of COVID.
Okay.
And the guy that commented on this was someone from CNN, and his quote was something along the lines of, God, I wish I still had it, but he basically said that there's a blend of the religious right and the political right sometimes blend to make a very toxic thing, a group that promote the Trump agenda and anti-vaxxing.
Okay.
And when you break the sentence down, there's nothing technically wrong with the way the sentence is broken down, because there's an and in there and there's two different things. But I thought the way they lumped it, so when you read it in general, it makes it sound like Trump is anti-vaxxing, and he's not. And I thought it was worded to make it sound very unfair. Trump got vaccinated. Trump told people to get vaccinated. I remember the one time that he was at he got booed in Alabama because he told his audience that they should get vaccinated.
Right.
So I just thought it was And again, when you read it, there's nothing wrong with the sentence. The sentence is factual, but it was misleading that it put them both in the same sentence, and it made it sound like Trump is unvaccinated. It's one of the reasons the right doesn't like CNN. And in this instance, I thought it was deceptive.
It is funny. Do you remember? I remember reading about in school and being taught. In college, we talked about agenda season. Do you remember this at all? So as the closer you got to the election, right? So every 4 years, the closer you got to the presidential election, it became agenda season for media outlets.
Okay.
So essentially, every 4 years, your mainstream media would begin to push their agenda, depending on who was paying the big bucks.
You learned this in high school, you said?
In college.
Oh, okay.
In college, I learned this.
Okay.
And so it was literally referred to as agenda season.
It makes perfect sense.
Yes. I almost feel as if there is no season.
It's perpetual now.
It does feel a little more perpetual than what it did when I was growing up or going through college. It feels as if agenda season is no longer the correct terminology. It just feels like people have agendas. Now, part of that might be because we just never get away. So for example, I always thought about, I almost never watched when I was young. I watched way more now than I did before. But when I was going through college and even after college, I rarely watched politics on the news.
None of us did.
Correct. And so when did I watch politics on the news? When it got closer to the election. So then it felt
like, and all of us did.
Yes. And so maybe agenda season never really was a season. Maybe
it was just more amplified for us because we only paid attention seasonally.
Yes. And so listening to you talk about that, it kind of made me chuckle a little bit because I don't know which is correct. I don't know if we are watching more of it. So agenda season now feels like it's significantly longer and never ends, or if back then they were doing the same thing, we just weren't paying as much. It just wasn't in our face as much. It just wasn't part of our everyday thing anymore. So it's interesting. The point you bring up, I think now more than ever, people are very aware. Even that, like you said, that sentence made sense. That sentence was not incorrect, but you just unconsciously noticed the agenda in which they were trying to push.
It's like, this is an example I gave to you. It would be like me saying, I like combat sports and golf.
Right.
Because you immediately would say, well, golf isn't a combat sport.
Right.
But that's not what I said. I do like combat sports and I do like golf, and you can like both. It's like saying I like Prince and I like heavy metal music. Sure. Well, Prince wasn't heavy metal. You're right. But I do like them both. And in the sentence, because they put you immediately think, well, how can he like Prince and heavy metal? Because Prince isn't heavy metal.
It's like saying my daughter went to Pitt and they won the ACC championship.
Yes.
Right. Which the two have no correlation. They just happen. The sentence just happens to be there.
So, and it's frustrating. The other thing that frustrates me about media, and we've talked about this.
Real quick, though, before you.
Oh, go ahead.
Does it frustrate you, though? Is your frustration that they did it, or is your frustration now that you can't not see it? Did I say that double?
That's a fair question, and I don't know.
Okay.
It's just bothersome to me that that I just feel like that whatever their agenda is, Fox News will never say anything good about Joe Biden. Mm-hmm. And MSNBC would never say anything good about Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. And when you look at both of them from a policy standpoint or from they both do good things and they both do bad things, because all politicians do. There's no way you can agree with everything a politician did. And there are blatant signs of hypocrisy on both sides as to when they're trying to get elected and when they're when you look at what the border was, how Obama handled the border, how Trump handled the border, how Biden is handling the border, it's probably not all that different, but depending on who's in office, what side is screaming and yelling. Trump was very, hey, the vaccine's coming, the vaccine's coming, the vaccine's coming. Then he lost in November. Now all of a sudden the vaccine's a hoax by the right. And it's just, I wish people could acknowledge, and this is why I always go back to sports, when you're playing against another team and you're just like, hey, this is what they did better than us. They beat us. They did this better, and this is their strength, and we have trouble with it. And in politics, it's just become they're always wrong and we're always right. And when the news gets to be that way, that we make more money supporting Trump or we make more money bashing Trump, so we are only going to support or we're only going to bash, and that's a problem.
I think what happens is we get stuck on some of these media outlets. They get stuck on numbers are up because we are talking about X, right? And so for a while, X happened to be Trump. There have been people in the past, like, I was reading the one study, but they were showing like Obama was great for Fox News. Like the ratings for Fox News when Obama was in
the best
office,
thing that happened to Rush Limbaugh was Bill Clinton.
Yes. And so there's this weird idea of to use your sports analogy, I have more fun rooting against a team than I do rooting for my team, right?
You're not alone.
Correct. And so in mainstream media, that is very much what gains ratings. Not when your person is doing well, but when your opponent is not doing well. And that is what they thrive for. So it is this weird part. I just read a piece. Trevor Noah has been calling out some of the liberal media outlets because his whole thing is like, if just stop talking about Trump. And he's like, oh, that's right. You won't, because like he drives ratings.
Yep.
So you're going to continue to bring him up. You're going to continue to bash him. You're going to anything to just have his name in whatever it is you're talking about. You're going to continue to do that. So it is, I think there's a collective of people who are smart enough to notice that stuff, smart enough to realize it. But it is funny to me that, 10, 15 years ago, we called it agenda season. And I don't know if there was ever really a season. It might have just always been.
I'm sure it was more. I'm sure it was more than not. But I do get your point. We were only paying attention seasonally. So
Sure.
It's part our fault. No, I'm with you.
For sure. Anything else before we go to that?
Lunch.
I know.
Starving.
You're starving. Just a reminder, we're going to do our 12 days of giveaways. We're starting Thursday, December 9th at noon. In order to win this year, like, comment, or share. You can do one or you can do all three. Why wouldn't you do all three?
We're starting in 2 days, right?
We're starting in 2 days. So tomorrow,
I was just thinking about how long it's been since I've eaten. The reason I'm starving is because some idiot told me to intermittent fast. I won't mention who that idiot is, but
has it worked for you?
What did I just point the wrong way?
Wrong way, yes. See, showing your age there.
See, I tried to point towards
the part you leave out is that you've admitted that like you feel better and it has worked.
It's worked.
It's
worked. But right now I wish it didn't work because I'm really hungry.
So there you go. So again, back to the promotion, 12 days of giveaways starting Thursday, December 9th. Like, comment, or share. You can do one or you can do all three. Why wouldn't you do all three? It's extra chances to win. So on tomorrow's video, which will be Wednesday, if you like, comment, or share the video, you will automatically be entered for a chance to win on Thursday's first day of giveaways.
What if their comment is idiotic?
Ooh, that's a good question. Maybe we'll have a prompt. Would you like a prompt?
No, I think at first we should leave the people to their own devices
and see what happens.
Yes.
We can do that. We can make that happen.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, be sure to join us tomorrow. It's your first opportunity to like, comment, or share for a chance to win on Thursday. Lots of gift cards from our sponsors, including Weiss Markets, who we're going to talk about a lot more here in the upcoming 12 days.
Did you ever listen to the Jim Rome show when he was on the radio?
Mm-hmm.
When he said, have a take and don't suck?
No, I don't remember.
Oh, that was his whole, like, if you were going to call the show, don't call up and just have an aimless conversation with me. You need to have he called it your take.
Was this on radio?
It was on radio.
Okay, see, I know the TV show.
Oh, it was before. He was on radio. Yeah. And he's like, if you're going to call up, have a take and don't suck. That was the rule. So we should have, like, if you have a comment, don't suck. It needs to be.
We could say that. We could let people know.
But people, if you ever got to listen to it, oh my God, I loved it.
Yeah.
Because people would call up and they would have their answers, and it would almost be rehearsed.
Yeah.
And they would give their and it was no back and forth dialogue. Sure. They would give their 90 seconds. You could tell some people had it written. They were reading it. And then they were done and they were out. Yeah. And it was great. And when it was a really good take, he would put it on the rack because it was so good, it was worth keeping. He'd be like, rack them. Oh, I loved the Jim Rome show. I loved it.
All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. And again, we will see you tomorrow for your first chance to have an opportunity to win. And then Thursday, the wheel's here. It's coming. We're spinning.
We're back. Rack them.
Rackham, is that what you're going to call me? Rackham.
Well, you would never get racked because your takes always suck.
Who, me?
Yeah.
You think so?
No, not always. Sometimes you say some very astute things.
Astute. There's a word. I
Astute,
like
that is a good one.
I'm Jeff Everett. He's Mark Messina, and we will see you all tomorrow.
See ya.